Yeah, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This week they've already started the whole combine thing, and I've already seen, Shaquan Barkley's making a lot of noise with what he's doing with his size, his leaping ability. I don't really mess around with that combine stuff because you have a player that comes from out of nowhere that didn't really do anything, but because he has some size or they have a few nice things that they can actually make their stock go up. It's almost as if to say that if you play college football and if you come over here and you have a few things we may like, we'll invite you to the combine and we'll see what's up. And if you really do good in those drills and whatnot, you can actually put yourself in a position to become a top draft pick. And I always thought your resume is something that's one of the things that got you where you at playing ball at a high level that would get you in that first round. Get you, picked in the first round. And again, I've already done a piece about Penn State back to Shaquan Barkley, and I think the kid can be good. I'm just saying, I go for the history of things, and sometimes history can't really write the story for you in the sense of it can always be rewritten, or you can always change it. But sometimes you are what you are. You follow, and that just happens that way. That's why I talked about the different running backs there. But this thing has really nothing to do with Shaquan Barkley for the most part. Excellent athlete coming out of high school and everything. Now, I don't even know if he even played on the other side of the ball. And a lot of times in high school, you sometimes go both ways, causing on which if you're coming from a big school or if you're coming from a smaller school, whatever. Well, his measurables coming out was like a 5'11", about 205, 210, which kind of would put me that he could probably play linebacker. Is anybody looking to switch him to linebacker or like middle linebacker or anything? Because he looks like he could possibly, because he has all these attributes. He's fast, he's strong, he has these big legs, he can squat, he has explosion, he has all these things, all these variables that everybody asks for. Has anybody thought about possibly putting him in the middle and playing middle linebacker somewhere? Of course not. That's preposterous. Josh Allen, scrapping guy from out of playing for Wyoming. Big quarterback with the big arms, 6'4", 6'5", whatever he is, 245, 250, whatever the size, big kid, the whole 9 yards, all of that. Has anybody considered about putting him at tight end? I mean, he could probably be a really good tight end. He might be the next Gronk. He's athletic, correct? Because I always thought, because a lot of these guys, they play basketball, baseball, football. A lot of them guys play 3 sports, some of them. A lot of them guys, and you play a couple of different sports, especially when you're a highly recruited When you're a highly recruited player coming out of high school, a lot of times those guys play 2 and 3 sports. They run track, they play baseball, basketball, as well as football, or what have you. Some even wrestle. But what about Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield, 6'1", 220, I believe. He could be a nice. He has some good feet. He has some good feet, and he's a scrappy kid. He could be a nice John Lynch type and probably play safety. Correct? He could probably do that, right? That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm sure he could do that. What about Sam Darnold? 6'3", 6'4", something like that. Possibly, again, possibly be a nice, he could be a nice wide receiver or something. What about Josh Rosen? It's nice wide out. He could, he can be the next Eric Decker or whatever, right? Or Thielen, that guy Thielen from out of Minnesota. Why? I say, but I say, yeah, but that's preposterous. That's ridiculous for me to even say that. Minkah Fitzpatrick, the cornerback, secondary guy from Alabama, stud. I'm sure he could probably play running back. He probably played running back in high school. Probably could get you some yards, right? Or play wide receiver. What about the young man Chubb from out of North Carolina State, the defensive end? He has some size. We might could put him at, I don't know, tight end, possibly. He gained a few more pounds. He could possibly be an offensive tackle. That's preposterous to say that. So why is it okay to sit up there and say Lamar Jackson should be a wide receiver, a position that the guy obviously has never played? Could he play it? Probably. It's a lot of brothers that could play those particular types of positions. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them. That could play quarterback, wide receiver, secondary, and all that kind of stuff. A lot of them could do that. Why are you asking him to do this? You're not asking anybody else to do that. See, this is why this keeps coming back to me. So it's a curse for him to be athletically inclined to where you think he could be that. So really, and at the end of the day, it's also a backhanded comment. Oh, he has the skill. He can do this. He has the breakaway speed. He has this. He has that. But he just doesn't have this to play quarterback. Based on what? Like I said, I've done this topic many times. Not this direct topic because like I said, I try to put but I said everything I needed to say. The case rests. But then they'll always come up and bring something back about. Now it comes back to, well, we want him to try to work out at wide receiver. Why? And that's what he should say. But I'm like, but his handlers or whomever's around him are going to just say, don't say anything. Just go out there and do what you're supposed to do. And that's what, and that's going to be the name of the game. And that's what he's supposed to do. However, at the same time, people need to start asking, seeing why is he getting this treatment? Why haven't they asked those other guys the same thing based upon their resumes? Why don't you ask them the same thing? Ask them that if you ask Sam Darnold to play Sam Darnold's not even throwing. He's not even throwing. Out of the top quarterbacks and that's supposed to be in this draft, he didn't even throw because he said, I don't have to throw because my arms speak for itself. Lamar Jackson didn't run because he figured, well, he's not running because I've already got this thing on me. They had like Lamar Jackson ran for like 50 million yards and he didn't throw but two or three passes. I've already broke down to you his passing percentage, yards, touchdowns to interception ratio, and all of that stuff. A couple of last week or whatever, many a times it's down. You can look it up. It's just as good as some guys that's coming out. They're supposed to be so much better than he is, and he plays in a Power 5 conference. So we all know what that's all about. And I don't want to. I'm like, we already know it's about. But why aren't you asking those guys to do that? Huh? Why don't you ask these other top guys who've played one position and their main position their whole this Pee Wee league or whenever it's supposed to have been up to now, and you're telling Lamar Jackson he needs to switch? Why does he have to switch? Why? I want to see if I want to ask him that. See, over 20 some odd years ago, some of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, especially if you guys from Florida State, was when Charlie Ward played. Charlie Ward won the Heisman Trophy, and he had that of and he won the Heisman Trophy, and they won the national championship, Florida State, back in I think '93. Right? Charlie Ward didn't even get drafted. They wanted to try to turn him into like a defensive back, and he ended up playing the NBA because he had a nice basketball career. He was good at Florida State. He played on that team there, and he ended up going. I think he played with Sam Cassell, if I'm not mistaken, and he ended up going to the NBA and had a nice career in the NBA. I think he went like 25th overall in the first round. And that's kudos. I hated that he didn't go. He literally let them, in my opinion, from what I can remember back during that time, he literally let them guys talk him out of like not even really trying to really get into it, because he felt if I didn't get drafted at this certain time, or whatever, I still would have liked to have seen him play because he was extremely smooth, and I would have really loved to see him play, especially based upon in the '94 draft. It really wasn't much coming out of that from what I can gather, what I really remember really coming out of that particular draft. That was, so much higher than that of what Charlie Ward did and whatnot. But again, like I said, but this is what we're talking about. But they're still playing these games with Lamar Jackson. They're trying to critique him, but it's like still trying to critique him, but they're not critiquing anybody else. His resume speaks for itself. Now they're going to sit up there. They're literally using a microscope and a magnifying glass to try to see anything. Can we just turn him, because they don't want him to come in if he lights the league up. Now they like with Michael Vick and say, we had to do this with Michael Vick, and they can kind of justify, well, Michael Vick, okay, they couldn't pass a point. Okay, we got to put him in there as something to do something. Arthur Blank said, we'll get him because if nothing else, he'll probably be able to put some butts in the seats. This young man will not only put butts in the seats, I think he'll be a major winner with the right tools around him, like I've already said. And he can throw the ball much better than Michael Vick. And that's the point. That's all what he has to try to prove. But at the end of the day, that's what all of those guys have to prove. It's been plenty of big gun armed quarterbacks come out. Hell, a lot of them guys, from Heath Schulers and Trent Dilford and Mark McGuire's brother, and a lot of guys with big arms and stuff like that. I'm just like, they keep Josh Allen, like, again, he was honorable mention this past year. I think he made second team his junior year, whatever that year in 2016, but he was hurt. I mean, this is what I'm talking about in all this. But because he has a big arm and he has a prototypical size. It's like, dude, it's about making plays, man. That prototypical size stuff, I get it. You need to have a certain, I get it because of the wear and tear of the game. I get it. But at the same time, it's just like, hey, man, don't tell me about that. We've already seen what Russell Wilson did at 5'11", 210. So let's stop the games. Let's cut out the games with that. So you're going to tell me then, like I said, Polian, I haven't heard anything. I already did a piece on them. Oh, like the guy's too short, 6'3", 212. That's too short. Okay. It's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, again, I hope the young man keeps the sale, do what he has to do, remain at that quarterback, and do what you do, and you make him pay. You light the league up, man. You have the opportunity to see him and Deshaun Watson lighten it up. And I honestly hope that really happens. But I'm like, this is ridiculous for them to still do it. Say, let the kid play. Stop with the whole thing of wanting to put him at wide receiver if you're not doing that for nobody else. I would understand it. I would overstand it. If he ran a veer, if he was at Air Force. If he was at Air Force, fine. Okay? If he was at Nebraska, fine. Right? He's not at either one of those schools. He's not at Georgia Tech, who still runs the triple option. I get it when you have a quarterback like that, and then will only throw the ball 100 times that season. I get that. Got it. Not with Lamar Jackson, who throws at over 300 and some odd attempts every year. And is completing almost 60% of it, at least 59, right at 59% of his passes. And they're throwing for 3,000 yards over the last couple of years and averaging 27 in the last 2 years, 16 and 17, and averaging 20 some odd touchdowns. Come on, man. We already know what all these touchdowns already put up his stats. So let's stop that and be fair. It's just disrespectful. Backhanded comment and a smidgen. I'm not going to even say a smidgen. We know what it's all about. Like I said, I'm like, I won't do these things. But it pisses me off. It's like, come on, man. Cut it out. This is not 1973, man. Okay? So let's cut that stuff out, man. Let that man go ahead on and do what he's going to do. And you draft him as a quarterback and you work with him because all those quarterbacks are going to have work on them. Them guys are not going to come. Them guys are going to come in and make mistakes. They're rookies, and they got to still learn what's up. I mean, you coming from out of school, then you coming into where the big boys are playing at, where these guys, this is their livelihood. So it's not a game anymore, no more. You go from mom and daddy basically still taking care of you to all of a sudden these guys got families they got to take care of. So let's get the stuff right and let's cut out all of this ridiculous stuff about trying to turn him into a wide receiver. The kid's not a wide receiver. He is a quarterback, and that's all he's ever played. That's all he needs to play. And he can play at the next level, especially the way since how the game is now. Okay? All right? Check me out here. Appreciate the likes and subscribe. And we're trying to get better and better. All right? You guys have a good one. Check me out on Twitter, Everything Football 62 or Untucked Men 62 on Twitter. Subscribe to the page. Or follow me at Twitter. Or you can subscribe definitely at Everything Football number 62 my YouTube page. All right? You guys have a good one. Thanks.